Tuesday, November 8th.
This election will end, but I want you to understand, our work together will be just beginning. We have to bridge the divides in this country.
Today we're going to win the great state of Michigan, and we are going to win back the White House.
Our core values are being tested in this election, but my faith in our future has never been stronger.
We're hours away from a once-in-a-lifetime change. We're going to have real change.
I really believe it's the most important election of our lifetimes because we've never had a clearer choice. Never.
Today is our Independence Day.
And
wow.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 8th. It's Election Day.
What's happening today?
It's here at last.
It's unbelievable.
I think.
I can't believe it. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good for Hillary Clinton.
Are you really?
She's closing in on this.
Okay.
She's closing in on this.
What are your thoughts, Willie? We've been through this for now 18 years.
It is,
it feels like about 180.
I'll give you a
It all
date.
started with Ted Cruz,
I'll
right?
give you a date, March 23rd, 2015. Ted Cruz got into the race. 2015.
Oh, wow.
So that was almost 20 months ago this race started.
Just got really tired.
How many shows, how many hours, how many interviews, how many polls have we been through?
How many episodes
How
of
many
Hannity?
ups and downs.
And now here we are. I'll be watching Florida right out of the gate. We'll see how the vote turns out when the polls close at 8 o'clock in the northwest part of the state there. If she looks like she's going to win Florida, that's game, set, match.
It's over. And that is, for people that are watching tonight, and I think we all probably agree with this, that if, for some reason, Florida is very close, North Carolina is close, and they tip Trump's way. A big if right now, because most of the people I talked to yesterday in Florida that know Florida they think Hillary Clinton's going to win there. But if for some reason Trump wins Florida and North Carolina, then everybody hold on. Not saying he'll win, but we'll be in for a very long night. If it looks like Florida or North Carolina, Mark Halperin is going Hillary Clinton's way early on, get the Parcheesi sets out, turn off the TVs, and just pretend like it was all like one of the last seasons of Dallas.
We could all be asleep by midnight seeing a victory speech, maybe not a concession speech. As you said, Florida and North Carolina, if they both go for Trump, we will be in for a long night, and I suspect we'll see a lot of scrutiny of how every state's voting and maybe some court challenges. If she wins either of them, be very difficult for him to win.
It's over.
He can win Michigan,
he can win Colorado, but if you're not winning Florida or North Carolina,
well, he must win Florida.
Yeah,
he must
he's
win
just
Florida.
got to win Florida.
And Florida is a great example of where we are. There's about 8 states that Trump would have to win where he's either a little ahead, even, or 2 points behind. If he wins all 8, he'll be president. But it will take a surge. Even the Trump folks are saying it will take a surge of momentum. It will take the statistics and the polling being overcome by populist fervor that overwhelms the statistics.
And you know what? Well, yeah, exactly. Populist fervor will have to overwhelm the statistics for Trump to be swept to victory tonight. You know how fascinating it is that we are talking about the state that we should be talking about, Florida. And I say that because if you believe that Trump's original sin was the first speech that he gave when he got into this race about Mexicans, about Hispanics by extension. And if you also believe, like I think everybody that knows this business has been saying, he's going to be hurt by a ground game. If he loses Florida tonight, he will lose Florida for those 2 reasons. Now, if he wins Florida tonight, then throw all of the rules out, and we're in for, again, a wild, wild ride.
Right. I think, as you guys have said, he has to win both Florida and North Carolina. So if either of them goes the wrong way, I think we kind of know the outcome here. I think it is sort of ironic that he, maybe not ironic is the right word. I think it is interesting that he did trash the Hispanics. He did attack all these different people. And yet, both nationally and in places like Florida, he's even still in the game, which says a lot about the people who are actually for him.
And let's go to John Meacham. John, I think That's what most observers, at least in the mainstream media in Manhattan and Washington, D.C., are the most shocked about. And that is that not only is Donald Trump still in the game, but you had the entire Clinton team and the entire Obama team up in Michigan and Pennsylvania yesterday. I'm not saying they were on defense, but they certainly weren't trying to pick off Georgia and Arizona like they were talking about doing weeks ago.
Right. Well, the only way to run is scared, and I think the Clintons have learned that for a quarter century and more. I mean, the fascinating thing about today is no matter what, we'll be talking about it and studying it forever. Either the first female president of the United States is going to be elected, or the most unconventional outsider, far more unconventional than Andrew Jackson, just beyond almost anything we've ever had. I woke up thinking, as I know Mika did, and probably Willie, about Abigail Adams.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say,
thought this morning.
Will and I actually
Abigail.
every morning.
Yeah.
When she wrote her husband saying, "Remember the ladies."
Remember the ladies.
And it was 96 years ago, and Mika called me this morning to make sure I made this point.
Of course she
It
did.
was 4:30.
It's only been 96 years since women could vote. It has not been 100 years. So if Secretary Clinton becomes president-elect today, it's an extraordinary cultural moment. If Donald Trump does, we'll be sifting through this forever.
Oh, yes, we will. And David Ignatius is also with us, columnist and associate editor of the Washington Post. David, the world is watching for sure this morning.
The world is watching to an extraordinary extent. I've traveled in Asia, Latin America over the last 2 months. Everywhere I went, people wanted to talk about our election. Mm-hmm. Generally, they're nervous. They have been hearing things through this long, long campaign they never thought they'd hear in America. They worry that we don't really want to be involved in our leadership role in the world as we traditionally were. They worry that we're walking away from trade agreements that they think benefit them and us. They're worried that America's pulling back and it's going to be a different kind of world with a pushier Russia and China and less pushback from the United States. The other thing I worry about, since I think about security, is what will the security in our polling places be today? Are they going to be safe? We've had reports of possible terrorist threats. Police are out in every major city. Will we have a safe election day? And what about intimidation? Will there be efforts to try to keep people from voting? We all woke up, I'm sure, thinking, this is America's day. This is the day we vote, and I hope people will be able to get to the polls and cast their votes in a safe way.
We'll be watching all of that. Let's take a look now at some of the last national polling before the race is decided. A national poll from Monmouth University gives Clinton a 6-point lead, 50% to 44%. Meanwhile, a Fox News poll gives Hillary Clinton a 4-point lead in the four-way race. She leads Donald Trump 48 to 44% nationwide. She gets the backing of 91% of Democratic voters, while Trump wins 86% of Republicans. The GOP nominee is also claiming more support from independent voters, a 6-point edge over the Democrat. When it comes to electoral votes, NBC's final battleground map shows Clinton with the projected advantage. Hillary Clinton, 274, Donald Trump, 170. But it's now in the voters' hands, for sure. The Associated Press this morning is looking at the early voting numbers, and there are some positive signs for both Trump and Clinton in those. In Iowa, Republicans are matching their 2012 levels, though Democrats are running below what brought them a 5-point victory for President Obama. More than 2/3 of the expected votes have been cast in North Carolina, where black turnout has dropped by 8.6%, some 65,000 votes. Meanwhile, Republicans are outpacing their 2012 performance, though Democrats still have the edge there. In Florida, a record 6.4 million early ballots have been cast. Ballots from Hispanics have nearly doubled to more than 976,000 this year, though the margin for Democrats has shrunk from 2008 and 2012. In Georgia, the percentage of ballots cast by African Americans is down to 30% from 36% in 2012, while ballots from white voters rose from 63% to 66%. And in Ohio, ballots from African Americans count for 9%, down from 12% in 2012. as there's been a rise in white early voting, according to the AP. And finally, Arizona. Republicans lead Democrats in early ballots by 6 points. That is narrower than 2012's 10-point Republican advantage.
Mark, help me sift through the early voting. What is? I mean, you've got everybody telling you it means different things.